the man's been posting images, CGI images and stuff of chopped up videos, clips and things, pictures. And his post said, lots of opinions about Charlie's death. What do you think? And I think that the devil and his angels that were allowed to kill Charlie would also like to use their craft to create a lot of division, strife. For what? I hunted deer. I hunted small game as a young boy, starting at 7 years old. At around 15, I started hunting deer, and I hunted deer almost every day of the season till I was around 40 years old. I have shot a lot of animals, and I've owned, when I went elk hunting in 2012, I took a 30-06 and a 7mm with me. I owned 308, and a lot of other rifles. I have a rifle that I had made in 2012. It's a .358 diameter bullet. Comes out of the barrel at around 2,860 feet per second. And the first 2 deer that I shot with that, there was 2 of them walking up a trail about 85 yards away. I shot both of them. And to my shock, prior to this, we had always used shotguns, 12 gauge slug. And 12 gauge is, I don't know, plus or minus 1,000 feet per second, 1,600 maybe on the souped up ones. And both of those deer, the entry hole was the size of a tennis ball. I never seen anything like it, never heard of anything like it. The bullet was a 200 grain Barnes solid copper bullet, coming out at around 2,800 feet per second. And I was dumbfounded. I talked to my hunting buddy about it. It blew his mind. The exit hole was the size of a deer slug. The bullet had slowed down, expanded in the body, went all the way through the size of a deer slug, standard 12 gauge slug. So the next deer I shot, I remember standing in the tree stand, talking to myself, saying, okay, the deer is facing south. I'm shooting it on the driver's side, and the same result. That one was around 60 yards. Entry hole much larger than the exit hole. So I've seen many deer ripple their bodies, tense up, shake, instant, almost instant flow out the wound on both ends. I actually have a picture. I don't know why I didn't take a picture of any of the deer that I shot, but I did take a picture of a piece of lung that was around 4 inches long and about 1.5 inches wide that fell out of the entry hole. That deer was shot at about 175 yards, slightly quartering toward me. I aimed just in front of her shoulder. She went down, surprisingly got up and ran into the woods. And while she's running, literally that piece of lung fell out the entry hole. Because in that event, there was not an exit hole. The round went in there and bounced around inside. It never came out. So I say these things to to let you know I'm not an 18-year-old I'm not a 22-year-old that doesn't know something about hunting and rifles and what bullets can do. And when I saw the video, my first reaction was, is this real? To the person that sent it to me. I got a yes. I said, where'd you get it? From X. It just happened. So I went and screen recorded the video because it was too real. And I thought to myself, they're not going to allow this to stay up because this is real. It just happened. And so I've got friends all over the map. I love talking about this stuff. I like talking about anything, really. But people get all upset, bent out of shape when you offer something that contradicts their belief. Their belief. And their faith. Scripture says without faith it's impossible to please God. And it talks about the sin of unbelief. And some of these people I talk to, and it's just like falling on deaf ears. There's no penetration because there's no faith and there's no belief. They believe that it's some government psyop or some Illuminati or some left-wing whatever. They believe all these concocted stories that have been put out on the internet. When I reviewed the video, I was looking at it with a friend and we were talking about it. I said, I don't know what this black thing is going across his shirt as the body convulses and reacts to the impact of the bullet. I don't know what that is. I said, is it a mic? I don't know. Is it a shadow with the shirt kind of rippling? Didn't know what it was. Well, today I was watching a video of Charlie Kirk's greatest moments or something like that. And there it was. Sent it to my friend. He said, yeah, I just saw that an hour ago. Looked it up. It's a video enhancer. So that's the device underneath of his shirt. It's on this side. Kind of runs this way. And there's a little black, it looks like a magnetic top that snaps magnetically through his shirt into the device below. I don't know what it is. It's a video enhancer. So when his body reacts to the impact, the shock of that bullet, that pops up. You can see it traveling across, and it follows the same path as the device underneath that pushes his shirt way up. His shirt comes way up right in front of where the bullet impacted. And then everything settles down and he goes back and the rest is history. So the first thing that I noticed when I watched the video was the report of the rifle and how soon the bullet got there. And comparing that to many hunts I've been on, times I've shot, I knew that the shooter was within. I told a friend of mine, somebody said five. I said, there's no way it was 500 yards. It was inside of 250 yards. And I said it was probably a 308 or a 30-06. That was not a 223. This is just from observing a little video with no bias. I know the government's whacked. I know that the Illuminati's out there. I know that there's secret societies all over the place. I'm not ignorant of these things. I've ingested more content than probably 90% of the public. I had a route of 400 miles a week. And I ingested over 3 hours of listening every day for 6 years straight. Any topic you can think of. And it just blows my mind, the bias that is produced when people fall into a state of unbelief or no faith. They have a belief of a certain way, a certain concept. And when they fall into that, even though they might say with their mouth, I have an open mind until I'm proven wrong, until it's proven wrong, I'm going to believe this. Even though they say that with their mouth, their actions prove that's not where they're standing. They're not listening to anything else. They believe what they believe, and you can't penetrate it because they don't have any belief outside of that. There's not anything in that video. There's not one drop of this is fake to me. Not one shred. And when I go through it frame by frame by frame, it's exactly what I've seen over and over and over in animals. So, you guys, a lot of you, are out there, you're looking at these CGI cranked up, you know, all these different angles, and you have no idea what they've souped up, what they've altered in those clips that you're watching. And while you're watching it, they're feeding stuff into your subconscious mind, steering you a certain direction. And then you got the physical and spiritual aspect of Google algorithms, AI, working behind the scenes, looking at your searches and feeding you the same garbage that you're looking at. The same stuff that you look at, you get fed. So before long, you're down this road so far down this rabbit hole, there's no light to be seen. And you believe so hardcore what you believe that nobody else, nothing else can penetrate it. It's so aggravating. And people do this with the gospel. They do this with conspiracies, everything. You're allowing yourself to be deceived. You're allowing yourself to be led down a path that you have no idea what the end of that path is, and you're just walking down it headlong, the blind leading the blind. The scripture says, whosoever loveth and maketh a lie. There are people that love and make lies. They love to make lies. And some of you, unwittingly, have fallen prey to such individuals. It's one thing to look into this opinion and that opinion. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. I do that. I listen to people. I listen to both sides of the coin. But it's a totally another thing to draw a conclusion or come to a conclusion prematurely before you have all the facts straight. Something about this 22-year-old. Everybody's up in arms. Oh, a 22-year-old, he couldn't have done that. I could have done that when I was 18. No problem. And a 200-yard shot with a scoped 30-06, piece of cake. No problem. I was raised very conservatively. And I grew up with guns, and they were never called a weapon in my home. It was a shotgun or a rifle or a 22. They were for hunting. And I didn't go out on the range and just shoot up $50 worth of bullets on the weekend and stuff like that. So what I'm saying is I grew up with a gun in my hand, so to speak. And not having any formal training except, my dad showing me when I was young how to shoot the gun, 7 years old. I could go out, and when I sighted in the 7mm and the 30-06 for my elk hunt at 550 yards, the 7mm shot a 2-inch group at 550 yards. That means that if I was doing something like that, I could take the man's Adam apple out at 550 yards. This dude is 200 yards, or somebody said 178 or something like that by Google. Look, it's inside of, it's a normal hunting shot. No problem. You take that 30-06 out, you shoot it 3 times on a bench. You know exactly what that gun's going to do. You know exactly what it's going to do. 3 shots. That's all it takes. When I put a scope on a rifle to sight it in, I shoot it 1 time. I put it back in the bags and in the vise, dial it to the bullseye, and then I dial the crosshairs to the bullet entry. Then I shoot it again. More often than not, it's right on the target. It's sighted in. And if you've got a decent quality scope with properly installed base and rings, it's not going to move. Especially if the rings are lapped like they all should be. So you've got 90+% contact on that scope. It's not going anywhere. So there's a lot of ignorance out there. People running around don't even know what bathroom to use. Some of them. Doesn't know the difference between a magazine and a cartridge, or a bullet and a cartridge. And then they're telling you, oh, there ain't no way a 22-year-old could do that. That's ridiculous. So it's just a bunch of hoopla, just a bunch of talk. So, just like we read in the Martyr's Mirror, Fox's Book of Martyrs, when they burned those that didn't go to church alive at the stake. And I say it that way because they burned everybody. You could be a drunk on the street, and if you weren't found in mass, you were burned. You were questioned by the Inquisition, and that was the end of you. It wasn't just those that were in opposition, open opposition, that got burned. Or their tongue screwed to the top of their mouth, or you name it. Their eyeballs poured in with molten lead. When they burned them, more were added. People sitting on the fence. People hiding behind the woodpile. They came out of the woodwork when they saw the steadfastness of those that were martyred for their faith. And so, that's what I'm expecting here. And then you got all the conspiracies about, oh, he was a Freemason. He got money from Israel. He got money from the Jews and all this stuff. Come on, man. Doesn't matter where he got his money from. Obviously, he was not controlled. Very obvious. Listen to some of his stuff. It'd be like the cult coming to me and try to buy me out after 6 years of exposing their hypocrisy. if they would have thought it would work, they probably would have done it when they got that $3 million. But they're so greedy, they spread it amongst themselves. At least most of them, then probably one of them came in the back door and stole the rest of it. So now they're fighting over it. And then those that donated it are now calling for a reckoning of it. So, don't let this be a means of division between you and your friends. And you may find out some of your friends that you've got are, they're whack, man. They're out there. But they're still your friends. It's just they don't know what you know. Seen a lot of videos popping up. People are coming up, raising up, saying, I want to take Charlie's place. I'm Charlie Kirk. I would there'd be 50 Charlie Kirks going across this country visiting all these whacked out teenage, young adult, college students that don't know what bathroom to use. That's the real psyop here. You're missing the big picture. All right, I'm going to get off here. Jesus is the way. There is no other name given among men whereby we must be saved.